Speaking, of course, of Blazers assistant Jay Triano. And, Coach, we were talking about it in our last segment and kind of wanted to get your feelings. I know that you guys participate in community events like this from time to time. What do you get out of being involved in something like this that means so much to the many kids that you spoke to today?
Well, it's a great event. When you can not only touch your fans, but touch the community and help make their day a little bit better, I think that makes you feel good about yourself, too, and about what you do. And I think that the NBA and the Portland Trailblazers have always done such a great job in the community. The community-based team and one of the only pro franchises, in the city. It's just fun to go out and interact with some of the kids. And you could see today from the excitement of those kids when Damian Lillard and Nick Batum and LaMarcus Aldridge walked in their classrooms. I mean, that's a pretty special day for a lot of these kids. And something like that never happened to me when I was in elementary school. It would have been a highlight for sure.
Coach, one of the things that I want to highlight is something you did today. So we're in the classroom, and I mentioned to the class that Nicolas Batum is from France, and there's a kid in the back of the class who's actually from France, born and raised in France, and Jay Triano encouraged them to have an interaction in French. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen, and I don't think Nick would have done that on his own. I don't think he would have thought to. But, Coach, that's what I like about what you bring to the table and what this team brings to the table.
Yeah.
It's all about that interaction with fans.
Yeah, I think that, I don't know how many other kids that young fella could have spoken French to at school or when he was at school, and you could just tell he was excited to be able to say something, and they went back and forth a little bit, and I found it very interesting, and I hope the kids did as well, and I think it helps Nick too. I mean, it just brings him back to something that he was born and raised doing, and sometimes doesn't maybe get the chance to do here in the city of Portland. And
just to go one step further, Coach, is when you're a stranger in a foreign city, a foreign country, and I've been an English-speaking person in Greece and in Spain and in France, you're treated a little different. That kid may have catapulted to the head of the class just because he and Nicolas Batum had that interaction, and you made that happen.
Yeah, well, I didn't think about it at the time. I just thought it'd be pretty neat for the kid to be able to communicate with Nick. And you're right, Tone. That may be something now where the kids around the school will say, "What did you say to him? Like, what were you guys talking about?" And I thought it was a pretty neat event.
And thinking about, and speaking of pretty neat, I thought the other thing that I observed that we talked about in our first segment was, we know that it's to no great surprise, something that is meaningful for these kids that you visited with today. But I really thought that the players got a whole lot out of it. And after a while, I was having a hard time figuring out who was having more fun. I mean, they were out on the playground, participating in in everything that the kids were doing in a lot of cases. And I think maybe for a while they got to remember what it was like to be kids again.
Yeah, Wheels, my experience with that in the past with the different teams that have gone out and done community events like that is it's tough to get them there, and sometimes it's a hassle to do it. But once they get there and they get involved with the kids, they absolutely love it, and they are kids themselves at heart, and they jump right in, and they know the difference that they're making, and they interact with the kids, and it makes it special for the children at the school. And you're right, though. Our players benefit from it as well, and I think they have a great time doing it.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about last night. After a couple of tough losses to the Utah Jazz, you guys turned it around versus the LA Clippers. What changed last night? Because that was a very different team than we saw in the first two preseason games.
Well, there's a couple things, Tono. I think when you look at the Jazz with a new head coach, we had no idea what they were going to run or what they were going to be like offensively or defensively, because Quinn Snyder, the new coach there, brings in a new attitude, and he's bringing in a new dimension to the Jazz. But at the same time, our guys are still rubbing off a little bit of the rust. And the last time we played a game as a group, it was in the playoffs. So it was high intensity, and right now it's preseason. The minutes are staggered. The guys are playing together. Guys aren't playing together. You're playing restricted minutes. I didn't think we played very well as a team. Contrary to that last night, I thought we did a great job of sharing the basketball. We moved the basketball. I don't think guys are as concerned with trying to make something happen right away as we did maybe when we were playing against the Jazz. Last night I thought we did an exceptional job of finding and making plays for each other, whether it was somebody rolling hard to the basket, whether it was somebody making the extra pass out of the traps. but I thought we did a nice job of sharing the basketball. That gives our shooters a little bit more time to set up and release, and we shot the 3-ball last night extremely well.
There are some certainties, obviously, in that we know who your starting five is going to be. We know that the two veterans that were brought in the offseason, Chris Kaman and Steve Blake, are going to be a meaningful part of the rotation. But you've got some young guys that would love to impress during this preseason to possibly earn regular spots in the rotation. And certainly some guys are stepping to the forefront a little bit. And CJ last night got a chance to start the game. And it wasn't as if he was going up against somebody else that was an afterthought on the opponent. He was going up against maybe the best point guard in the NBA, a future Hall of Famer in Chris Paul, and certainly seemed to do a nice job of everything that goes into that, knowing that Paul's just going to be an agitator, that he's going to take a preseason game seriously. And CJ not only had the 5 3-pointers, the 19 points, but 6 assists and only a couple of turnovers. He was mad at the one he committed late in the game, but I think we see that this is a young man that just looks a lot more comfortable having a training camp finally to get ready for a season that he didn't have last year.
Absolutely. Once the NBA season starts, the number of practices are restricted, and your chances of playing games, if you're injured or not in the rotation, is hampered. And I think CJ's had a great camp, and he's earned himself an opportunity to be in the mix for a spot. And last night was no exception. I thought he played well. I thought, Will Barton and Joel Freeland had good games. And, people are often quick to criticize our bench. And, even after the first 2 games against the Jazz, we were kind of looking at it going, have they gotten any better? Are we going to be better off the bench? And, last night was a testament to the fact that we are going to be better. We're going to have a little bit of firepower coming off the bench. Steve Blake had a good game. I thought Kaman has gotten better every single time he stepped on the floor. So, we've added pieces to our team, and we've developed pieces that are already on our team. And hopefully that makes our bench a lot better than it has been the past 2 years.
Coach, talk to me a little bit about Will Barton and his progression. I mean, Will's one of those guys who, for years, he was an X factor. And, I mean, you didn't really know what you were going to get from him. But now he seems to have settled into his role, has a better understanding of what you guys want from him, and he's playing better in that box that you guys need him to.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think what we've seen him not only develop as a player with the skills that he has, but he's developed his basketball IQ. He understands when and what to do, and I give him a lot of credit because the first couple of years sitting on the bench, you can get frustrated with your lack of playing time. But Will is a student of the game, loves the game, watches games all the time, and I think it's really paid off for him because he's playing good basketball right now. He's playing within the confines of the team. Remember when he was a rookie, we'd stay after practice. Coach Osborne or myself or Caleb or anybody, we'd stay and we'd shoot threes, and he just stayed and shot. It didn't seem like he was getting any better. Now the 3-point shot is a very regular part of his repertoire, and he's able to knock that down. That opens things up where he can drive to the basket, and I think we're really seeing him evolve as a player.
I know during the regular season you guys kind of split up the assignments in terms of scouting the next opponent. Does anybody get the very unique task of trying to isolate the scouting for Maccabi Haifa on Friday night?
Yeah, that's going to be me. And I think it might have to do a little bit with the fact that I know the international game, but I'll be honest with you, I know nothing about this team. We're going to have a chance maybe to get I don't think the game that they play on Wednesday in Washington against the Wizards is going to be on TV, but we'll figure out how to get it into our offices by Thursday morning for sure, and hopefully have a couple days to put together a scout. But at the same time, I mean, these preseason games are about developing, not being concerned about what that team is going to do. We have our system offensively, we have our system defensively, and we've got to keep getting better at doing those things. And sometimes it's okay to go into a game blind, not knowing what the team is going to do, and play our style and impose that style on the opposition.
Well, Coach, congrats on the first win of the preseason last night. A great job at the community event today. Good practice days ahead, hopefully, and we'll see you back at the Moda Center on Friday night for the game with Maccabi Haifa.
All right, look forward to it, guys. Thank you very much.
Blazers assistant coach Jay Triano, part of the wonderful staff that Terry Stotts has at his disposal.